Hey guys, welcome to the podcast that is worth your consideration, the Babbling Pastor Podcast. Hopefully you came across this willingly and you're not being tortured with it. But if you are, just sit back, relax. We're going to make this super easy. I'm your host, Michael. This is your host, Rob. Thank you for considering the podcast. All right, today, guys, we're going to get into more questions that you have, if you're here for that. I like to blow your ears out, like, right away. That's kind of my goal. Yeah. Right away, just completely, just eardrums gone. And that way, if you don't like what we say, you only half hear it anyway. So it's kind of a...
Hey, I actually didn't think that you planned ahead that much, but that is awesome. That's good thinking.
Well, I don't. I just came up with that, but I'm really good at coming up with stuff. So talking about one thing I do want to tell you guys, this isn't like a sponsorship or an ad or anything, but I do want to tell you, I did get this free and I told them I would shout them out, but it is really cool. I like church history. You guys know that. There is you can see, no glare. Okay. I'm not moving.
There you go.
Here we go. So this is Paul's missionary journeys, right? And it's a topographical map. Is it? If it's not, it shows the mountains. I don't know if a topographical is one that where it's actually raised or not. I'm not that smart. But the point is, it shows his journeys. It shows where they are, and it's not just a flat map. It shows where like mountainous terrains are and everything, which I think helps you understand the journey and if it was harder or not and that sort of stuff. But this map specifically is a 20 inch by 16, and it goes for $35, which I know sounds a lot, but it's really cool. It's a really cool map right there. You can't see my light now. Now you can see my light again. Now you can see my screen. The point is, I shouldn't have held this up with the glass on it, but you can check it out. It's if you looked them up, Bible. Hold on. Now you're really seeing my preparedness. This is where it really comes through, right here. So Bible Map Store. That's as simple as it gets on Instagram. Bible Map Store. You can check them out. And then that actually gets sent to you via Amazon, but that's where you'll buy it at. But the point is, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's going to hang up eventually, but my preparedness level, as always, is pretty low. So I just showed it to you, so you can check that out. Anyway, cool map. Thank them for sending that to me. Going through church history right now at my local church, and so showing like where places are, I think is helpful for people. I'll probably take that tonight, in fact. So into this week's question. The burning question everybody wants to know. What's your favorite sandwich? That's not really a question. What is your favorite sandwich, though? Mine's grilled cheese.
That's a good...
Pretty simple guy.
Like, I don't know. Burgers aren't really sandwiches, though, are they?
I'll count it. Burgers are good.
Yeah. So, like, I'm kind of a child. So, for me, bacon cheeseburger, plain.
Gotcha. So I recently discovered I'm allergic to bacon, and it will kill me. So
are you serious?
I'm not even joking. It activates something in my throat, and this is gonna sound kind of gross probably for some people, but like mucous membranes like explode, and I can't breathe. So like if I eat bacon or anything with bacon on it, I know immediately because it's terrible. I've never almost drowned, but I imagine it's something similar to that. Like you can't breathe. So
are you is it pork, or could you eat like turkey bacon or something like that?
I've never tried turkey bacon. I know it also happens with ham. So it may be something other than just bacon. It's
wow.
Like, ham actually makes it worse. So
you
my
have
wife
to obey the food laws.
So my mom's real mom, like, because she's adopted, my mom's real mom is Jewish, and so my wife was like, "See, it's God's joke." He's like, "Hey, no, you can't have the good bacon." I used to be able to eat bacon, so it's not like I never know, because I used to eat bacon all the time. It's a recent thing, so now I know what I'm missing. So it's not cool. Anyway, potato soup. There was somebody that in her family that makes great potato soup, but it has bacon in it. Can't have that anymore. That's sad. So the real question. Oh no, hold on. I'm sorry. Again, guys, I'm just gonna waste the first 6 minutes of this podcast every day. Have you heard of the Reuben? Do you know what a Reuben sandwich is?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I learned what that was last night. I didn't know what that was. Apparently,
that's kind of big
popular
up here, actually. Yeah,
Okay.
There are a lot of people who eat that up here.
Gotcha.
I don't like sauerkraut though. In fact,
Yeah.
at home, I call it sauerkraut at home. So
That's fair. It's terrible. Anyway,
probably some people are going to leave my church because I don't like that. And I said
that's
it
true.
publicly, but
They're like, we were fine with the Calvinism, but this this is a bridge too far, my friend. The sauerkraut. So the real question is this: is it wrong to pray for specific things? Now, let me give an example specifically of some of the patron that this question came from. Is it wrong? So, if you're a single guy or a single gal, for example, to pray for specific things in the spouse that you want, right? So I'm not talking about necessarily like, I want her to be blonde hair, blue eyed, and look like this or that way, but rather like pray for specific, like, like I want her to be a godly woman. I want her to, want to be a mom, like those sorts of things. So that was the question that he came up with, because my understanding from the question that got presented, like there's people in his church that are like, you should just pray for a wife and just let God take care of the rest of it. And then there's some people like, no, praying for specifics is good because you know what you want. And so it was interesting because I don't know if I've ever, well, I got married pretty young, so I don't know if I ever really had to consider that question. But in a more wider sense, specific things, it could apply to a job. It could apply to, I guess, other things. Job, sort of what come to mind for me. But so what do you think, Rob? Specifics. Do we have maybe some text or just your pastoral opinion on this? Is it wrong to pray for like specific things rather than general things?
So I will say that the broad question being just about praying for specific things in general. I mean, no. In fact, it's a good thing to be specific in our prayers, and I think probably too often we just pray vaguely to God. And that could be because we're just not as close to God as would be good. And maybe we're not growing closer to him or that kind of thing. And so our prayers are just vague. Um, but I think that, there are enough texts in the scriptures that talk about praying, continue steadfastly in prayer, being watchful in it with thanksgiving, Colossians 4:2. Romans 12:12, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. If you're constant in prayer, if you pray continuously or always in prayer, that's going to be specific, right? And so just the idea of praying specifically, when people say, come to us at church with, they come with specific prayer requests, so just praying for specific things is not a bad thing at all. In fact, I think that a healthy prayer life will automatically display praying for specific things. However, it sounds like a cop-out for Christians who have little faith or something, but praying that so 1 John 5:14, and this is the confidence that we have toward him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And so this, if it's your will kind of statement at the end of our prayers, so often is an addition that sounds like, I don't believe that this is going to happen, but but I mean, an honest heart coming to the Lord and saying, God, this is, my desire. You know that this is what I want. I want my wife right now. Literally, my wife's mom is not doing well, and probably isn't gonna last much longer in this world. And it's not wrong for us to get with. This is actually a good example. And I know that they don't listen to this, so I'll just say it. But it's not wrong for me to pray that she recovers from this situation and gets better and has a longer life. As a Christian, though, the further along you get in your walk with God, what should be happening, anything we ask according to your will, right? What should eventually be happening, and this is what sanctification is that my will should more and more match His will. Should more and more match the heart and character of God. And if I'm living living out the Christian life as the Scriptures prescribe it, then slowly but surely the things that I pray for are going to change. And this example that I've just given, that's very real right now in our family. My prayer, much more, infinitely more than a prayer that she lives longer and is here longer, is that she comes to know Christ. And that's just an example of the further along you get in your, not that I'm some kind of special priestly person or something, but the further that you walk with God, the more your eyesight changes to see the things that really matter. As to the specific question and the context of the question, which would be about spousal search, right? I think that it's absolutely not wrong, right? And again, you might see this change the closer someone comes to God, because a teenager praying for a spouse someday, let me say it this way: an untrained teenager praying for a spouse someday, they're going to be looking more at physical attributes, right?
Dear Lord, make her hot.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the more that you mature in Christ, the more that you're not, I mean, you want to be physically attracted, obviously. God does that. But that's like my desire for my wife is the godly character that I see in her.
Yeah.
And let me say it this way: Scripture gives some specifics about what godly women should be like and what a godly man should be like. So it would, I think, be wrong of us not to be godly minded like that, and pray that we find a spouse like this, like God is describing here or there. And my sons, part of the so I give them specific things that that I've asked them to pray for during their devotional time every day. And then obviously they pray for whatever after that. But one of those things is their spouse. They're both praying for their wife, wherever she is right now, whatever that might look like. Pray. I tell them, pray that she's being raised in a godly home right now, and that she's learning the Scriptures, that she's learning what's important. And this is an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old who are praying these things, right? So it's not. I think that it would be doing a disservice to yourself and to your relationship with God, and perhaps to your relationship to a future spouse, to not pray specifically for character attributes. But what you have to keep in mind, there is a danger there that you can develop an expectation that doesn't meet a criteria that will land you looking for someone higher than any human female is. And so you also have to pray for those things, but recognizing that all of the godly woman kind of traits that you read in the Scriptures, you're not going to find all of those in one lady. Especially if you're young, you're getting married young, chances are she's not that bright when it comes to God yet. Even she might be a Christian, she might be a wonderful young lady. You might see those traits in her, but they're not going to be fully developed by any stretch of the imagination, just like you're not. And I think that you can also focus so much on what you're looking for that you can neglect you becoming more of a godly man who is then able to lead said godly woman. And so you should spend as much time focusing on your own character and developing your own godly character before him, so that you're a good match for this woman that you're praying for.
No, yeah. No, on the I want to get back to that for sure. I want to get to the general and then go kind of back to what you were saying there, because I think that's important. On the general thing on praying for specifics, I think your example was really helpful in regards to the longer you're a believer, the more you're being sanctified, the more your prayers change. And I think that's the thing. So, I mean, as a believer, I mean, one of the things I think, as a young believer that I maybe wish I would have been told more. I'm sure somebody told me and I just ignored it probably. But one of the things that maybe if I did hear that I wish I would have listened to was, just recognize that sometimes maybe you're praying for the wrong thing, right? I mean, in my specifics, maybe I'm praying for this great job, but God doesn't give it to you because he knows exactly what would happen if you got that job, and it's not going to be for your benefit or his glory. And so you're not praying in ways that are actually beneficial, even though you're genuinely praying for things that you think are good, but you're just not thinking them through very well. On the second thing, on the specifics, on specifically that question, I think what you said there was great in regards to praying for those specific attributes, right? So I made the joke, God make her hot. I think the idea is that, God make her holy. Like, that's what I want. Like, hot's good, but holy's better. And so it's one of those things where I think in this specific instance where this young man is, I actually don't know how old he is. I'm going young. I feel like I need my bifocals on. Well, this young man is speaking. But for this guy that's looking for, a wife and praying for a wife, and even the other way around for ladies that are praying for husbands, really having that perspective of specifics. What do I really want in a spouse? And I think what it comes down to is what you said, like, right, we know what godly men, what the characteristics are supposed to be, and we know what godly women and what their characteristics are supposed to be, and praying for those specifically, I think, are incredibly helpful. Guys, you hear that? The phone? It's just great. Rob is so popular. So one of the things that I think is incredibly
That's because my wife prayed for a man that would be popular.
There you go. She got it. Never. I was going to make some corny joke about what my wife prayed for. So, she prayed for a man with a full head of hair. Sometimes God does not answer your prayers. So, but the idea being that if you're praying for specifics, let those specifics be in line with what the scripture, says you should be looking for, right? And I just to reiterate what you said, I think what you said there is golden. That I think sometimes in praying for that, you are setting yourself the expectation that's way too high, to where now someone comes along and you're like, well, they don't meet all that. And so they seem pretty good, but they don't meet all of that. And now the expectation becomes a hindrance to you. God is like, here, like 20 years from now, I'm answering your prayer 20 years from now down the road in marriage, where you guys are, I'm using you to sanctify one another, and your prayer will be answered. And you don't know it now, but your bar is so high that you want the 20 years from now wife and not the one that he's giving you right now. And so I think, again, holding those things in tension, like you said, like praying for specifics, but not having that expectation so high that you turn down everyone that he puts in front of you, that could potentially be a very good spouse for you. Because I can tell you right now, the husband that I am now is not the husband I was 10 years ago. And so if my wife prayed, for specific things, I can tell you specific things that I am now that I wasn't then. And that's where the whole example, like he may be answering your prayer, you just don't get to see it for a while. And so it's one of those things where, again, hold that intention, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying like marry an unbeliever and pray, well, one day he'll be saved. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying that you're not, if you're watching the video, Rob is very adamant about the no on that. But the idea being that you're not going to have, like Rob said, the full package right out the gate. If you think you're going to get the Proverbs 31 woman right in front of you now, buddy, and that's, you are going to feel so inadequate trying to lead a Proverbs 31 woman. Because you're like, well, I'm not there. Well, again, like Rob said, like maybe you should work on you a little bit as well as you go along this process. So I guess the general answer to the question is, pray for specifics. That's not bad, but just make sure those specifics line up with what the word says you should be praying for. As much as they can, and then don't let your perceived expectations get in the way of God actually answering that prayer. So.
Yeah, and I would say at the end of this, like my last couple of brief statements would be that make sure that you understand biblically what a godly woman is and what that role is, and then you work to fulfill your role before you're even in that situation. Become that man. So that's two things. But then your if your prayers are, Lord, make her look good in leggings, right? Or whatever. If your prayers are those kinds of things, understand that that's pretty arbitrary. And that at the end of the day, you you in the same way that when I was young, I'm sure that at some point I prayed, Lord, help me be good enough to be in the NBA someday, right? And then now it's like, Father, help me make it through the next hour without doing whatever, or like help me know you more. Like that's a specific question that you understand, or specific requests that you understand more the further you go along in your relationship with God. Those are this is what it means when it says according to the will of God. Like at the end of the day, the things that you're going to end up, and if you don't right now and you can't conceive of this, just wait, keep swimming and you'll get there, right? Like at some point in your Christian walk, you should reach a state in which the things that you're most concerned about are the same things that God would be most concerned about. And so your character, where you see flaws in your character, pray that he would show you mercy and get rid of that and help you defeat that. And then it's the same for a wife. You do have to in the will of God. And if his will, then it is. It's not, you have to eat all of those prayers with an open hand before the God who does know all and has a plan.
Yeah, no, totally agree. My button wasn't working there. I was muted. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so yes, okay, hold on. All right. So yes to all of those things. My computer's doing some crazy things right now. I'm not sure why. So that's why I'm stuttering. So anyway, yes to all those things. Hopefully that answers the question. Again, I think it's, we did have a little bit more specifics on this one, but even in non-specifics that we don't have, I mean, praying is the thing we're called to do. And I think, again, praying when you're a young Christian versus the longer you're a believer, those prayers change because you start to, as Rob's already said, understand that like I understand that my things that I'm praying for are usually not even the things that I need to pray for, and that you start to line up a lot more with what God's will is and what he wants anyway. So hopefully that's helpful. If it was, make sure you like it, share it, comment, all of those things below, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Later.